Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for staying. Thank you for enjoying the show. So, it's spring, and of course, most of the inevitable part of spring has come, which means pollen is everywhere. And I don't really enjoy the whole process of pollen everywhere because when you think about it, in a technical sense, pollen is tree sperm. And it's just like, the first day of spring just hits, and your car just looks like the aftermath of a bakake shoot. I never really have enjoyed that very much. The thing that gets me is if you extrapolate this, that since pollen is tree sperm, technically, doesn't that make spring allergies a form of STI? I'm really thinking in the next couple of years, we're just gonna have to have people just every spring just go around with trash bags around all the trees and just encourage safe pollination. So, I think that I'm really conflicted with the problem that is affecting most of the modern American males, which is I find it much harder to get clean floors than I do to get clean drugs. So I like to try to relax and always start, new hobbies. And one of the hobbies that I've taken a lot of interest in right now is mountain climbing. I'm not really that fascinated so much by the climbing, but I am deeply fascinated by the concept of being able to fly a flag on top of something very tall. So I had to switch jobs all the time. I had one job a little while ago. I had to quit it though. I was working as this corporate executive's right-hand man, but I had to leave it. It was a really lousy job. You had to bring your own Kleenex. So, I've got a question for you all. What is the best way to get healthcare today under Obama's plan?
Healthcare.gov. A dealer in your apartment building.
If you'll please stay on the line, all of our operators are busy, but your call will be answered in the order in which it was received.
It's true. I called. Not for me, for a client.
It's true for me. They stole $1,200 from me this week.
Aww.
So let's see. I like to study languages quite a lot, and one of the things that I find is really interesting is when you try to translate certain words or expressions, you get the intent, but they always just seem pretty twisted when you directly translate them. Russian is one of the languages I really like a lot. Now, we have the expression, talk is cheap. Put your money where your mouth is. Here's what they say in Russia. Pizdyet ne meshki toska. Talking bullshit is not the same as lifting heavy sacks. I can just imagine some guy just pissed off a Russian politician by writing an article and then he's just in the gulag, 6 months later. See, Ivan, talking bullshit is not the same as lifting heavy sacks. Now we say for frustrated romance, if you're in that situation, one of the things we always say is, love is cruel, love is blind. This is what they say in Russia. Lyubov zla poyebish I kozla. Love is so evil you could fall for a goat. I think that may explain some of Vladimir Putin's personality. The Russians also have a word toska, which they're very much, a lot of writers like Nabokov believe that until you understood this word, you could never truly understand the Russian spirit. Now, this is one word, toska, which means overwhelming depression caused by the realization that your life's goals will never be achieved due to lacks in your ability. One word that they needed, because apparently explaining this was taking too long for far too many Russians. Good to see. Good to see you guys are laughing. Good to see you're in a good mood. I know that some people, face a little depression. They're never sure exactly what's going on in life. And a friend of mine about a year ago, Maria, she was facing some depression, and then she found this amazing permanent cure for depression. Rope. Well, you know what the kids are saying these days. Rope is the new blade. So, I was talking to my father recently, and he just got really angry all of a sudden, and he showed me this newspaper article that he was reading, and it was really pissing him off. And he's like, Shawn, I was reading this article, and it says that right now, young women are posting pictures of their tweets online. And then I explained to my dad what a tweet was. So one of the things, speaking of social media, that I've always seemed to notice is that every couple of weeks, no matter what on social media, it just seems like every day, people need to post some article of like people who have encountered incredible, horrible disfigurement, but are still beautiful. Like just every time you just see, it's just like, yes, do you realize that over 10,000 women in America have their noses ripped off by raccoons every year? Oh, Angelina Jolie thinks they're still beautiful. Don't you think they're still beautiful too? And you just have Angelina Jolie and she just comes up and she just says, everybody is beautiful. I wish I had some of these girls' moves. Here's the thing. If you think everyone is beautiful, you also believe that ugly people are gullible. Like, it's one of the things I just don't get. Like, it used to be they would tell you, you know, you developed other parts of your personality, and it was just, you know, they used to encourage people to develop things like, oh, you have horrible injuries. Maybe you should work on developing a personality. Learn to write. Learn to do music. I mean, it used to be, you know, I'll give you, let's see an example, great artists. Like Aretha Franklin. Never was nominated to win a beauty contest at any point. Throughout her childhood, never happened. But Aretha inspired, and she became one of the greatest singers in the whole world. People didn't care what she looked like. Her talent was so amazing. It transcended her looks. It took her to like another level of existence. Biggie Smalls, another example. Notorious B.I.G. had tons of women. He was an overweight guy with a lazy eye. But his rapping was just so amazing. You didn't care. Charles Bukowski, another really great example. Fat, obese, misogynistic, bigoted, alcoholic, unemployable, and women loved him because he could just write poetry like nobody's business. So you just got, you got to transcend that. Let me see. So recently I was trying to organize a human pyramid, but it failed because I couldn't find a mummy to put in it. Here's the thing. To write that joke, I actually wanted to research, did mummies really go in pyramids? Because it seemed like one of those facts you could mess up. And here's the thing. I checked this. They sort of went in pyramids. They go in pyramids for like a week, and then they take them out. So basically the pyramids are just all for elaborate show. But the other thing that I read that was really interesting is who actually built the pyramids. Because everybody knows the stupid stereotype from a lot of bad Charlton Heston movies. It was like, oh, it was the Jews. Actually, it wasn't the Jews, for a couple reasons. The Bible's off by 1,000 years of when the pyramids were actually built. They weren't built by that. We know because we have the contracts. There were unionized labor who was working to build this. Unionized native Arab labor. And the reason we partially know they were unionized is we found letters they've sent protesting when they got into contract disputes. One of the things that they needed was food, water, and makeup. It was a very important thing in ancient Egypt. Men wore makeup. Which means that in a technical sense, the pyramids were built by unionized Arab drag queens. Basically, everything the Republicans are afraid of. Well, thank you very much for your time. My name is Shawn Barron. Enjoy the rest of your evening.